So one of the things I want to talk to you guys about today is being a parent of a child with ADHD. I get a lot of comments on the video that I share with you guys about if your child has focus issues, and I just wanted to kind of share. I noticed that I didn't share part two of that video, which may have left a lot of you guys a little confused about what to do and kind of like where we're at in the process. So what I want to mention is that we have my daughter was diagnosed with ADHD at 6 years old, and we went to a child psychologist. They ran assessments, and she was diagnosed with ADHD. They offered or they recommended that she get put on a mild form of medication, and we even considered that. I'm so glad that we did not do that, and it's not here to shame parents that have done that. This is not what that video is about. I want to share with you guys her progress and my experience in hopes that it helps somebody out there as well. So like I said, she was diagnosed. They recommended medication. We considered it, but we talked to her pediatrician, who is a pediatrician that's really focused on natural remedies first. She does not like to prescribe medication if she doesn't have to. She likes to try natural remedies first. So she gave us a list of things to take out of her diet that included red dye, blue dye, high forms of processed food and sugar, dairy. There were like a lot of like a list of things that she was like, these things need to be taken out of her diet. And so that video that you guys saw me do was me telling you the things that we took out of her diet and how it helped her. Also, there were things that we needed to add into her diet, and we didn't know that, but the nurse at that particular doctor's office recommended this book, Finally Focused by Dr. James Greenblatt. And it was through this book that we learned about the power of magnesium in a diet of everybody's diet, but also a person that has ADHD issues. There is this TikTok craze right now about this magnesium supplement that you can put on your skin that absorbs vitamin D and magnesium. So it's interesting that our doctors are not recommending this, but we're learning this through, recommendations of our books and things like that and TikTok. So anyway, this is a doctor. This was written by a doctor, and I love his format of how he goes into recommending different things for you. The first thing that he recommends is adding in magnesium into your child's diet, as well as making sure they're getting adequate amounts of sleep. Children need a lot of sleep anyway, but children with ADHD, sleep is essential for them. And honestly, as a therapist, sleep is essential for everybody. But if your child is not getting 10 to 12 hours of sleep at the age of 5 and 6, like that is going to affect them and their focus, their behavior. It's going to affect everything. So just making sure your child is getting enough sleep. If they're falling asleep in the car, that's a sign that they're not getting enough sleep at home. So I'll just be aware of that. And that's one of the things that I did to my daughter's schedule, is make sure she went to bed early enough so that when she went to school, she got an adequate amount of sleep. I then got this book, and I love his format because he tells you one thing to do a chapter that you need to take out and one thing you need to add in. So it's like the in and out. You need to stop feeding your kids these type of things, but add in this. So magnesium was the first one. So that video that you guys all see on my page and I get all these comments on is of me telling you about the calm magnesium that I put in their juice at the end of every day, and it helps both my daughter and my son sleep well. Their constipation issues have gone away. Like, my daughter was hospitalized because she had severe constipation, and they said it was top 5 worst constipation issues that they had ever seen. And she was going to see a gastroenterologist. That's neither here nor there. They missed that, apparently, her impaction that they had. They missed it. And now, looking back, all we had to do is add in this calm magnesium into her diet instead of Miralax. We were giving her Miralax, but that was drying her out. Her poop was hard and dry, and it was painful. And once we gave her magnesium, that all cleared up, just all cleared up. I gave it to her once a day, her and my son. They don't have any more constipation issues. I'm telling you guys, I am shocked at our doctors and the lack of information that they give us for natural remedies. They are so tied. Okay, let me not go on a rant. Anyway, back to my daughter with ADHD. So in addition to that, like I didn't do the whole book, but there's every single step. Like he talks about adding in zinc. He talks about what you need to take out of your diet. And literally I didn't even need to go through the whole book of things to do. But if your child has severe form of ADHD, get this book and go through this book with your doctor. The other thing that she needed was executive functioning therapy. So anybody with ADHD usually have an issue with like focus, and they're bouncing around to different things and they can never get anything done. It's like a ton of unfinished projects. So executive functioning therapy really helps them in like multiple areas, not only like focus and like have checklists. You need a checklist. You need to write things down to help you know where you're at and what you're doing. And checklist works well. Also understanding rock brain, flexible brain, because they can be very stubborn at times, and just educating them on their brain. So because we are therapists, my husband and I are therapists, we did executive functioning therapy at home. But if your child is ADHD, they need to be in executive functioning therapy. You can go to a child psychologist and get them enrolled in that or some form of that, and at least get it started, and then you can finish it up at home and just continue to do what they tell you to do at the house. So that was it. So we did her sleep. We added in magnesium. We did her sleep. We added in magnesium. We made sure she had executive functioning therapy, and we helped her with her self-esteem. Because children with ADHD are usually misunderstood because of their behavior, a lot of times parents will reprimand a child for something that they cannot help, like sitting still, sitting down. And I had to advocate for my daughter everywhere I went, because the teachers, like whether I was in her gym class, her gymnastics class, her school, everywhere I go, whatever environment, at church, every environment where somebody else, another authority who had to watch over her, 9 times out of 10, they misunderstood her. They would say, "Oh, Miss Reed, she wouldn't sit down. She kept on moving around." I'm like, my daughter has ADHD. She has to stand. She cannot sit still for an hour. First of all, most kids can't sit still for an hour. But second of all, this one needs to get up every 15 minutes to move around. And you have to let her do that, because that's how her brain works. That's what she needs. So I have advocated for her and told the school, this is what she needs. So there are certain accommodations my school and everywhere I've gone have made. And I don't know if it's because I'm coming at them and I'm like, this is what she needs. You guys will not box this child into a behavior based upon what you believe, your limited belief on how the brain works. Our society has to open our minds and start to create spaces for neurodivergent people that just do not think how we think, how the majority of the masses think. And I personally believe that ADHD is not a disorder. I just think their mind functions differently. And I truly believe that they actually have a superpower. They can get 2 weeks of work done like that when they focus. There are Olympic athletes and professional athletes and all these people that have ADHD because they have learned to harness the power of how their brain works. So stop telling your kids something's wrong with you. Stop telling them they have a disorder. Stop telling them, I tell my daughter, you have a super brain. Now you have to harness that power, because it can work in your benefit or it can work against you if you don't know what's going on with your own brain. So I'm teaching her, I'm educating her, and I'm helping her with her self-confidence, because most children with ADHD, they have a problem with self-confidence because everybody's been telling them something's wrong with you. Stop. And they're just functioning in their normal behavior. So when you spank your kid for not sitting down and they cannot help it, you're affecting their self-esteem. When you yell at your kid because they won't listen to the teacher, because the teacher doesn't understand that they can't help it, and now you don't understand, so everybody around them is telling them they got something wrong with them, and there's nothing wrong with them. They just have a neurodivergent brain, different than everybody else. So what we need to tell these kids, and we need to advocate for them and say, my child needs to move every 15 minutes. They need a brain break. They need to get up, be able to move. They don't need if you have a long assignments, I advocate for my child to have a break. If the assignment you give her is going to take her an hour, she needs at least 2 breaks, be able to move around, do something else, and then come back to it. If that can't happen in a classroom setting, send the work home. I will finish it at home. And I'm a part of an amazing school that will accommodate. And if you get a IEP plan, don't quote me on that, what the name of the plan is, but she has a specialized accommodation plan that the school made for her, so that every teacher and every person she interacts with knows this is what she needs to be successful. And that is essential. These schools that are lazy and they don't want to accommodate the different types of children, that's not a healthy place for somebody with ADHD. They need a place where they will help them be as successful as they can. Does my heart go out to the teachers? Absolutely. But that's why the classroom needs to be smaller. If you're a teacher watching this, my heart goes out to you, because I know that you're dealing with all different types of children, not just children with ADHD. And this is not to gripe on teachers. This is to say, this is what parents, as a parent, this is what you can do to advocate for your child and to find them and put them in the best setting that works for them if they have ADHD. And this is just my experience. This is not professional advice. I highly suggest you guys reach out to a psychologist, not a mental health therapist alone. A psychologist or psychiatrist needs to assess your child. Somebody like me, even though I can diagnose ADHD, I would go and get more help. Like, I would go seek out higher professionals that could look at the actual brain, because neurodivergent, in terms of like neurodivergent disorders, you really need a little bit more information. Definitely if you're about to give medication to this child. Like, you're dealing with generalized anxiety or major depressive disorder, we can work through that using some CBT. You have some PTSD or maybe some BPD, we can do DBT. Like, right, there's no medication needed. There's some treatment that we can do. But when you're about to give them that diagnosis with ADHD and then they need medication, you need further assessment. So just don't let somebody tell you this child has ADHD and they need ADHD medication. Make sure you do your due diligence, because I think too many kids are on medication. I personally think y'all need to follow Dr. James Greenblatt, and there's just sugar and red dye and blue dye and all these sugars in our foods that we give our kids. And that is what's causing. I personally think that is just my personal opinion based on my observation and my own personal research of why all these kids are coming down with ADHD. I don't think they all need it. I just think they need their diets need to be changed. They need to get more sleep. They need their self-confidence built back up. They need some executive function therapy, and they need some magnesium, y'all. Like, just get the book. It talks about zinc and vitamin D and all that stuff, all the nutrients. We are malnourished, not just in our physical body, we're malnourished in our education of this stuff. We're just not taught this stuff. The doctors are not sharing this stuff. So educate yourself if you're a parent of ADHD children. I could have put her on medication, but like I said, I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad that she is now on the honor roll. She has been on the honor roll this entire year. Yes, she is doing well. There's one more thing I give her. It's like a focus, and it's by Dr. Terry Naturals. It's called Calm. So in addition to the magnesium, I give her this focus medicine at the beginning of her day, and she just has been on the honor roll the entire year. So that's it. Like I said, this is not professional advice, but I do want, to share my experience because I get so many questions about it, and I was not able to share the full entirety of that video on that video. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and yes, I'm praying for your kids. Your child will be successful.